Hey, good afternoon. This is Ahmed, co-founder of No Flood Florida. I wanted to share with you how to find the flood zone on a property. So this property is a house in Pinellas County. My buddy's actually looking at it, and he asked me how he can find out some information about potential flooding for this property. Um, so I just wanted to show you all. I showed him, and it's pretty easy. And I figured everyone should probably know this, especially how often properties in Florida flood. Uh, Quickest way to do it on your own, you could just go to FEMA flood zone maps. There we go. I would click straight to this link, this MSC search by address. It's a service that FEMA has, so you could look at the effective floodplain information. Just type in the address here, click search. You'll have this map come up, but I would actually prefer to go to the viewer. So this NFHL, or the National Flood Hazard Layer viewer, you can turn on and turn off layers as you like, and you can kind of move around there a little bit better. If this is the first time you're visiting, you kind of read up on how to use it, things like that. Well, let me put in the address here again. So it brings us to the property, which is right here. And yeah, you could see that this property is in the special flood hazard area. So you could see the zone is called the zone AE. This elevation 10, that's the base flood elevation. That's how high water could get during a 100-year storm. So you would compare this value of 10 to the elevation of the property. So let's say the elevation of this property is 9 feet. So there is, during the 100-year storm, or let's say if we get maybe 10 or 12 inches of rain within a 24-hour period, there's a chance that you'll have maybe a foot of water in the house, which is important to know, obviously. You'll see there are some areas that are blue, some areas that are this brownish color, and then some areas that don't have the polygon. Forget about this portion. This is a perfect example, actually, of why you can't necessarily trust the effective FEMA data, because they're saying this entire area is in a low risk, but obviously these ponds flood during a storm. They're just ponds, there's always water there, obviously. However, there aren't any flood risk polygons. So let's take any of these houses, and I'm getting off out of hand here, or not out of hand, I'm getting off a topic, but this is a good example. These houses around this pond, as an example, they might be in the high risk flood zone in reality, but FEMA's not showing it, because if you look at the date at which this data was effective, the date is 2003. And so if there's any new development since then, or depending on when the model was developed, you're not necessarily going to have accurate data for all of the location. But for insurance purposes, you have to go by the FEMA data, which this is the process to kind of get an idea before you make an offer, or before you look at the house. If you do like this house, it's probably a good idea to get an elevation certificate, and that will give you an idea of how much risk the property actually faces. Because take these two houses, for example. This one right here, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, hopefully you can. This house and this house over here. Well, this house's elevation might be, let's say, 9.5. The elevation of this house might be something like 7.5. So even though they're both spatially in the same flood zone, but the depth that of flooding that they'll experience uh, might be significantly different. If you have any questions, let me know. I can answer any questions you may have, and hopefully this was helpful.